for joining. I will start the webinar because we're going to be recording anyway. So if anyone can't make it today, then they'll be able to access the video afterwards. So it all should be fine. I will just share my screen for you. So thank you for joining the webinar this morning. It's going to be on the best navigation structures for user journey, which will hopefully give you some good tips around navigation, best practices, different types of navigation, and what you can do to improve on your website. And just a few things before we begin. So you probably noticed already, but we're going to be recording this webinar, and it just gives people who aren't able to make it on the day a chance to view it at a later date or when they can. You'll receive a copy of the recording and the slides after the webinar. This may take a few days, but it will be with you hopefully at some point next week. Finally, if you would like to join the conversation, so hopefully you get something useful out of the webinar. If you'd like to share it, if you think anyone else would find it useful, you can use @WebBoxDigital or #WebBox. We'd really appreciate it if you could share it on the socials for us. So just a little introduction to myself. So I'm Sean Giles. I am Business Development Director here at WebBox. I've got 13 to 14 years experience in web agencies, and I've had various different roles from I started as a front-end developer, became like a PHP back CMS developer, went into project management, account management, and now business development. So I've had experience in all different facets of web delivery. And a little bit about background on WebBox as well. So I've been with WebBox since the start of this year. WebBox has also been around oddly for about 13 years, so we're the same age in our careers. It was started by Will, our MD, in 2008, and we work with a big range of different diverse clients. So people from DS Smith to St John Ambulance, Twickenham Stadium and Fever Tree Tonic, just to name a few. And we're a team of 15 based in Cardiff. And then so over the next sort of 30 minutes, we'll run through best navigation structures. We'll run through what user journeys are, what different navigation types you can use, and best practices for your navigation. Then we will have a look at some further resources that we have on offer that you can gain access to, and also a free digital audit that we offer at WebBox. I'll give you some more information on that. And then there's a chance for Q&A. If you've got any questions, then you can let us know. So I'm just popping open the chat. So just to get the ball rolling, I've got a stat here which is really useful in terms of what the content is today for the webinar. So according to a Clutch survey, X% of consumers say that easy navigation is the most important feature on a website. If you guys could jump on the chat and just put in a figure that you think it might be, it'd just be interesting just to see what you guys think, and then I'll reveal the answer. Okay, no problem. I'll reveal the answer. So the answer is 94%. So navigation is the most important feature on a website according to the survey. It was carried out on 612 people between the ages of 18 and 65. So it was quite a diverse range. It's not that they're not all teenagers, or they're not all middle-aged. And people are spending more time online than ever before. So it's super important that your website is easy to use, and users can comfortably complete a desired action through the use of navigation. So we'll start off. So what are user journeys? So a user journey is a path taken to reach a goal. So it can be any path taken for a user to get to a goal on a particular website. So that could be just to get in touch, or it could be making a purchase. Obviously, there's different goals depending on the website. It's something that's used when designing websites. So user journeys can help in the design process of a website to identify the different ways that you can enable a user to achieve their goal. So that could be through navigation. It could be through different aspects of obviously there's different types of navigation as well, of ways they can achieve that goal, whether it's getting to a contact form or signing up to a newsletter. The idea is to make these as quick and easy as possible. So again, you don't want the user to come up against any barriers. It should be easy for them to get to that goal and achieve what they need to on the website. And by mapping out each step of the journey that a user takes to reach that goal, it often consists of a number of web pages and decision points that carry the user from one step to another. And generally what you would do here for an existing website is you may map out the current journey for a typical user to go from point A to point B. So whether that's entering the website to signing up to a newsletter, or entering the website to purchasing a product. And then you would take that journey as it's currently working and kind of redesign it to how you would ideally like it to work. Obviously making it, again, as sort of quick and easy as possible. And it's all about improving that user experience. And what is navigation? So navigation, and at a base level, it's the process of navigating pages, apps, and websites. And we will take a look in the next few slides at the different types of navigation as well. A URL in a browser, most people know what a URL is, but it actually tells the website which content it's going to serve up to the user. And a URL structure can also be quite key in terms of SEO as well. So instead of having, if your about page has a URL which is your website domain /1234, that's not great for SEO. If it says about us or about your company name, then that's going to be better, because Google can rank that easier and more clearly. There's internal and external links as well. So navigation can move a user from one page to another within a single website, but it can also take users outside of your website. So you can find this typically on sort of information websites where they may have a technical term. It will highlight a link that will take you maybe to Wikipedia or to somewhere else that will explain that term in more detail. A little tip: generally best practice for external links is for it to open in the same window that the user is browsing your website on. Although typically, I always find that people open them in a new tab just so that their website isn't navigated away from. But it's one of those things. And again, good navigation is key for good user experience, as shown in that 94% stat. The users heavily believe that is the most important feature on a website. So types of navigation. So there's, like I say, there's various different types, and we'll go into each of these in a bit more detail. But so you've got global menus, so typically header and footer. This is what you're going to see commonly on 99% of websites. It's the most common used. They typically have a fixed list of links for the user to choose from. So based on the page that the user's on, it's not actually going to change those links. You do see that happen, but it's more, you see it more on kind of information based websites. So think like the BBC. So when you go into a specific news section, the menu at the top will change to either be sort of areas, and then you can go into that and see specific news for that area. Sidebar menus. So again, these are typically seen on kind of e-commerce websites or web applications or SaaS websites, which is service as a software. So it's we'll go into a bit more detail on those as well, but again, they can be for a specific use on a website. We've got links non-menu. So any link on a website can be classed as navigation. And it can be within the content of a page. So you can, where you've written content about a certain subject, you can add hyperlinks to the text to help ease of navigation throughout the website. or it could even be, a latest news feed on your homepage. Those links, again, are going to be navigation taking the user through to either the whole news feed or to a specific news article. Breadcrumbs. So this is one that I've been aware of for years in terms of the term breadcrumb. Some of you might not have come across it before. You'll probably know exactly what it is once you see it, but these are fantastic for usability. And again, they're seen a lot on e-commerce and information-based websites. I've got a slide on that, so I'll go into a bit more detail about what they are. And again, hamburger, the hamburger menu is one that I think is kind of an industry term. So you will probably know what it is, but you may not know it from the term hamburger. It's essentially the menu you'll see commonly on a mobile site, but it's becoming more common on desktop sites as well, where you'll see 3 horizontal lines, which they say looks like a hamburger. And when you click on it, it opens up the menu further. So that's the hamburger menu. So global menus. So global menus as a header and footer. We've just got a couple of screenshots here from the Webbox website. So you can see our global our header menu, sorry, at the top there. We've got a mixture of a traditional navbar up there, which is nice and simple, and the hamburger menu. And I'll tell you a little bit more why we do that in a second. And we've also got the footer menu. So these you'll see these a lot more common in terms of like big chunky footer menus with more and more links. So just to start on the header menu. So like I say, we've got a mix of a traditional menu bar and a hamburger menu. And this can be a good way to sort of show a mixture. So in the traditional nav bar, you can show key pages that you want users to access or you want them to navigate to. Without filling it up with tons and tons of links, essentially. And then the kind of non-essential pages or the additional auxiliary pages to your website can go in the hamburger menu. That just means that then when they're kind of hidden away, they're not taking up the focus of the user in the main navigation, but they can click on that and they can access those additional links if needed. Then for the footer menu, again, like I say, they're becoming much more common where you get this fat footer at the bottom of the page. And it's typically like the hamburger menu for us is doing at the top. It will show kind of auxiliary pages that are not as commonly used. So things like privacy policy or terms and conditions, you'll find those down in the footer. You also will typically find things like contact information. You can find newsletter signups or even full-on contact forms are quite common now to see in website footers. And users have become more and more accustomed to seeing those elements in the footer. I know personally for myself that if I'm looking for where a company is, like their address or their phone number or some way of contacting them, I'll scroll straight down into the footer and try and find that information. The next one, so sidebar menus. So as mentioned, we've got an example here for Amazon. I'm sure most people have come across this one. They're typically seen on an e-commerce website or a web application or a SaaS website. And I've got my second example here, which is taken from MailChimp. So MailChimp is a service that allows you to send out bulk email campaigns, which you may have come across before. So for example, on the Amazon sidebar, this is showing the category that you're in. So we're looking at electronics on this page. And then there's linked categories to that. And also, but below there's filters around the product. So average customer review, new arrivals, whether it's Prime or not, that's quite a typical thing that you'll see on an e-commerce site. And it just allows the user to easily filter and change the product categories that they're looking at, without using lots of different menu links. It's just there, nice and easily accessible. And when using like a SaaS product or web app like MailChimp, they're typically designed slightly differently to a traditional website. So I know I've just got the corner of the screen in the screenshot there, but that is essentially the top left-hand side of the screen. So with a more web application design, I guess sort of Amazon are using that as well. It goes to the full width of the screen. This makes the vertical or sidebar navigation just sort of easier to house, because it's on the left-hand side and it's kind of out of the way. If your website is more narrow in the center of the screen, obviously a sidebar menu can take up quite a lot of space. So it can be on a case-by-case basis whether you use it. But one advantage is that that menu stays in that place all the time while the user's using the system, and you can add a lot of links to it as well. So where you've got a traditional horizontal nav, obviously if you've got long link names, you'll run out of space quite quickly in terms of what you can add horizontally. Whereas if it's vertical, you can fit a lot more links in that space. So links. Non-menu. So again, I've just got a couple of screenshots here from the Webbox website. So here we can see on the web development page of our website, we've got the two green bits of text there. So one is get in touch and one is UX design. So these are links that go off, that take the user to sort of either more information or a decision point and endpoint. So obviously get in touch will take them to our contact page. Hopefully they will fill out the form and become a lead. And UX design is obviously a linked service that we also offer, which is it goes hand in hand with web development. So it's using links like this that mean that the user doesn't have to go back to the menu to find that UX service. They can easily, if they're interested, click on that link and get through to that page. Also, these links can come in the form of, like I say, sort of latest news or blogs or documents. And here we have a list of documents and resources that people can access, and we have a download link on them. So it's just, again, a navigation element that the user can use to access more information. It does help as well also improve sort of the linking structure, like I say, so the user doesn't have to navigate back to that menu. They can just they can click and get around the website in an easier way. And it's quite important with these. Obviously, if it's in the text, it can be quite a bit easier to do than if it's on a button. But using a descriptive anchor text can be quite key. So instead of saying just sort of like click here or service, you want to say something more like get in touch, download, or find out more about whatever the service might be. So if it was UX design, find out more about UX design, because if the user sees that additional information, they're more likely to click on it because it's clear where they're going and what they're going to get when they click on the link. And now breadcrumb. So got an example here from the ASOS website. So you should see it sort of just around here. And like I say, they're commonly seen on e-commerce websites or information-based websites where there's a lot of levels of, I guess, sort of category or page depth and structure. And essentially what they're for is they help the user see where they are currently on the website's hierarchy. So like I say, if you've got, if your page sitemap is quite detailed and in depth, it just allows the user to see where they are currently and where they've come from. So it's the link of those pages. In this example, and typically what you will see on a breadcrumb is the link on the right hand side will be disabled because that's the page you're on, and then all the other links, so in this case home, men and accessories, are all active, and when you click on them it'll take you back to that relevant page, and it's called a breadcrumb as it's leaving a trail for the user to see where they've been. So it's similar to Hansel and Gretel, they left breadcrumbs to find their way back. And again, this is a really great element in terms of usability, depending on the structure of your website and the level of pages. And then the hamburger menu. So like I say, most of you will have come across what this is, but you may not have known the name of it. So again, an example is on the Amazon website. They've got their hamburger menu here just underneath the logo. And if I go next again, you'll see that this is what it then looks like once you've clicked on it, and it opens up. So the idea is that the menu is initially hidden, and when you click on the three lines, you get the menu appears out the left-hand side and gives you all the options to access. Another example of this, and I'm sure you've come across it, will be on Google Maps. In the top left-hand corner there, you have, with your search, the three lines. And when you click on that is when you get more options. So it's just a way of hiding that menu initially. You can use all that real estate then on the screen to either, in this case, show the map or show other services. And then the additional navigation links will appear then. These also they were traditionally designed for mobile, but they've become more and more popular on desktop as well. So as users have become more familiar with the three lines and with what that represents, it's been used more and more on websites for menus and navigation. And so what is the best navigation structure? So I'd say brace yourself and please don't switch off at this, but it depends. So there's lots of different factors that will you need to take into account as to what the best navigation structure is, because you need to look at kind of what sector you're in as a business. What is your website? Is your website service based, or is it e-commerce based? Is it a SaaS service? All these things will be taken into account when you're deciding on which navigation structure you want to use. What is your objective for the website? So is it to create more leads? Is it to sell more products? Is it to be a source of information? So do you have thought leadership pieces on there? What exactly are you trying to drive the user to do? And how do the majority of users visit your website? So are they coming from mobile mostly? Are they coming from desktop mostly? So if it's a mobile heavy visitor base, then obviously things like the hamburger menu and keeping things compact are going to be key. Whereas if it's mostly desktop, you could utilize a sidebar menu or a traditional nav with key elements on there. But the good thing here is that you can follow best practices. So in order to help you with your website navigation, there are some best practices that you can follow. And these are: make links obvious. So one of the most common problems is letting design get in the way of usability. So if visitors can't tell a hyperlink from body copy, you have a problem. So like on the website, Webbox website, there we highlight them in the green text. You can even use underline, but it's making sure that link stands out from the other text on the page. You can streamline your navigation bar as well. So lots of websites, you'll either have too many or too few links in the navigation bar. So it's about making sure you've got the key links in that nav for the user to use. Again, think about what you want the user to do as a part of their journey. What is the goal for them to get to? Because you might want them to convert, but you might also want them to know more about your company or learn more. So it's not a case of them just jumping to get in touch and filling out a form. You might want them to meet the team or find out about us, kind of thing. So it's looking at that journey. And if the navigation starts to look a little cluttered, consider organizing the site better. So use a main heading and then include a sub menu with other links categorized below it. So you can maybe, rather than using sort of drop down menus, which can be a bit clunky sometimes, and can even evolve into the dreaded mega menu, where you've got one link at the top, which then morphs into 30 links underneath. You can use that so that once the user navigates to a page, they then see a submenu of additional links. So connect the navigation with the business priorities as well. So while it's essential to keep user experience in mind, you also want to funnel your visitors to the most important pages again. So it's all about that user journey around conversions and sales. And obviously that will again be based on exactly what you are selling. So whether that's products or services. and you want to keep that balance as well between pages that might interest your visitor in terms of curiosity, but adding links within those that direct through to the conversion page as well. So where they're learning about the company, about the products, about different elements of the business, it's always good, again, those kind of non-menu links, sorry, to keep those involved and allow the user to keep pushing for conversion. Keep sidebars separate. So having a standout sidebar is kind of key in terms of, you don't want it to blend in with the rest of the page. The Amazon one is a good example of that, where it's got the line down the middle and it's got a white background, whereas the rest of the page can be kind of grid based or image led. You need to make sure that it's a clear separation of what it is. White space can also help with this, so you can keep a gap in between, and put your navigation in a standard place. So around the positioning of it, you can be creative, but I think it's one of those things where, again, it's a case-by-case basis. So if you're a digital agency, if you're a creative company, if maybe you're into arts or something slightly different to just a sort of service offering, it may allow that flexibility of creativity. But when it comes to the user experience, putting the navigation where people expect it, so sort of in the header, in the footer, that's going to obviously, at the end of the day, help that user experience and help your overall conversions on your website. And that will include things like the header navigation bar, the sidebar, and the footer, and put in those links where they feel they will find them. So, like I was saying earlier, things like contact information, the privacy policy. If you're an e-commerce website, whether that's delivery instructions, returns and shipping, all that information is typically found in the footer, and people know where to look for that. Making everything clear and simple for the user. So your website's navigation menu, it doesn't need to be like clever or witty or do anything special. It should be clear in design, and use text which is clear for the visitor to know what you mean and know where they're going to go when they click on them. And there's a reason most websites use the word about for the about us or me page, because it's clear and recognizable. And the same goes for simple words like contact. You can also do it for services, but it has been shown that it can be better if you have fewer services, to list those services in the menu. So then rather than going services and then the specific service, the user can go directly to that information, which I know it's not always possible, but it is a good practice to do. So utilizing the footer as well, don't forget about it. So if you're on WordPress, there's tons of themes and plugins that you can use to give you that kind of fat footer, if you haven't got a kind of bespoke design on your WordPress theme, on your WordPress build, sorry. And you can use them to your advantage, but you don't need to put like tons and tons of links in there, but it's just making you the best use of that space. In some cases, you might want to just repeat the links that are in your header navigation, and it just means that the user doesn't need to scroll back up to get to that information. They get those links down at the bottom as well. And also, finally, make sure that the website navigation is 100% responsive on mobile. So if your website navigation doesn't render properly on mobile, you're asking for trouble, because responsive designs and themes are quite common these days in terms of how a website will work and how it will respond to the different devices. And again, there's going to be a big shift towards mobile. There may be that your key audience come mainly from desktop, but you still don't want to alienate that mobile element of it. And more and more people are using mobiles these days to access. So it's a key thing to keep in mind when you're designing your website navigation. And one of the other elements is sort of leaving buttons to call to action. So what typically used to happen is that the navigation would be designed using buttons for each page link, but it's kind of moved away from that now. So the trend will be to use simple, clear design text with buttons being more of a call to action. So you may see it that you have a website navigation that says home, about, services, and then contact us or get in touch will be in a slightly different design with a button design around it, which is making it clearer and more of a call to action for the user to click on and go to that page. So yeah, it's trying to use those in the right places. You don't want everything to look like a button because it's more for the key aspects of it. So hopefully, there's some tips and thoughts in there that will help you structure your website navigation in the best way possible for your users. And if anyone's got any questions, let me think, have a think, and you can pop them in the chat. Just to go on to the free resource that's available. So this is a document that we put together. We've talked to lots of different marketers, and we've put this together for the 22 must-haves for your website in 2022. It's a great resource. We've had great feedback on it. And yeah, if you we'll email you following up from this webinar, and you can access that via our website. And also the free website audit. So like I mentioned at the start, this is a service that we offer to anybody who needs it. It's a free audit, and we don't just put your website into a tool which chucks out like a score at the end of it. What we'll do is use our expertise, go through your website, look at things like design and UX best practices, look at what is your key objective for the site. Are you hitting that objective? We'll also run it through the page speed test and accessibility tests, just to get a score on that and see how it's performing, and make some suggestions and ways that can improve as well. So if you're interested in that, please follow that link, or if you go to our website, it's quite easy to access via our navigation in the top right hand side. And then it's question and answers time. So if there's any questions, please let me know. If you don't have any, feel free to email them over to me, and yeah, I'm more than happy to help and answer those via email, or give you a call and chat through. And thank you for listening. If you'd like to connect, you can go to webboxdigital.com, webbox.digital, sorry. Sean.giles@webboxdigital.co.uk is my email, and there's also my LinkedIn account there. So if you'd like to connect, that'd be great. Thank you for listening today. Like I say, hopefully you found some useful tips in there. And if you found it useful, it'd be great if you could share online or suggest to anybody else who you think would enjoy listening. Have a great day, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.